This is my hetero life mate, Dara.
And I don't have a stupid nickname for you, but like they do in this movie. Why the fuck is his name Poot?
I don't know, but all I could think about it, like the entire time was just Poot Lovato.
Poot Lovato. This movie paved the way for Poot Lovato to enter our lives. But today we are talking about the turned me gay movie of all time.
Yeah.
This is not just like, this was a pick for you, but I think this was a pick for the women. All women.
All women.
If you've watched this movie, you're gay now. Like, I'm sorry, I don't make the rules.
You're
like,
gay
you're
now.
at least a little bit gay. Like, if you've watched and enjoyed Stick It. We're talking about Stick It.
Yeah, by the way, which is, I said my hetero life mate, which is from the movie, but this is the farthest thing from straight. This is like the gayest straight movie ever, or like the straightest gay movie ever. Like I can't decide which one it is, you know what I mean?
But this is The Swamp. It's our podcast, and we talk about movies here. My name is Dara. My lovely co-host is named Emily, and our show is an acronym.
Stands for some whack-ass movie podcasting.
And this month, in honor of Pride Month, we wanted to stray a bit from the path, and instead of doing explicitly gay movies, we did movies that turned us and all of, America, all of the queer youths. This one, I think, like, when I went onto Letterboxd, every playlist was, like, movies that turned me gay.
Yep.
I am gay now.
Yep.
My gay awakening. So,
yeah.
I think this is all of, like, I have a friend, my friend Rachel, who's a queer woman, and I asked her, I was like, oh, do you have any, like, input on what we should do? And she was like, Stick It. And I was like, already on the list. Like,
yeah. This is one that, like, I almost, like, forget, like, made me gay, and then, like, last night I was watching it, and I swear to God, I was, like, foaming at the mouth. I thought I was gonna start barking.
And in a lot of ways, I don't think they did it on purpose. No. But, like, there's a whole montage of, like, gymnasts getting their ass sprayed with, what do they call it, like, skin stick or something?
Yeah, tough skin or something.
And it just goes on for, like, 9.5 minutes of just, like...
It's a lot.
Of just... And her in that ice bath, I mean, we're gonna get into it, but there are multiple scenes, more than once, we see Missy Peregrym in an ice bath.
Her shredded abs. It's a lot. It's really a lot. I was, like, sweating watching this.
And it's so funny. I feel like... So this movie came out in 2006, and I feel like I watched this movie, like... Maybe not when it came out, but, like, pretty... Like, I feel like I was in 3rd or 4th grade, because I remember my mom... Like, my parents really liked this movie. Or my mom did. Because my mom loves Missy Peregrym, because she's also on this, like, cop show that my parents really liked. She's on, like, a lot of, like, drama cop TV that my parents are really into that shit. So my mom loves Missy Peregrym, and she then, like, funneled her love also into this movie. So I feel like I watched this a ton when I was a kid, and then, like, not again until now. And it's like, yeah, it's so unintentionally horny. It's so funny.
Yeah. I think it'd probably been, like, over 5 years. Probably, like, 8 years since I'd seen this movie or something like that. But, and I'll talk about this more later, but I was always watching it when we were kids, because my sister was a competitive gymnast and everything like that, so that, like, this was, like, the movie for any girl who was a gymnast. Like, I watched it with her last night, and she was, like, quoting the entire thing by heart. She was telling me, she's like, when they'd be, like, in the gym, they'd, like, recreate some of the scenes and everything like that. Like, her running towards the vault with her arms, like, spaghetti and all that shit.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I, like, never stuck with anything as a kid for, like, long enough to be good at it or to, like, have friends who did it, you know? I was always really jealous when I was older of, like, people like your sister or, like, who, like, did something from when they were little all the way up, like, through high school, because I just quit everything. The minute I wasn't the best at something, I just quit it, which is, like, not how that works, even a little bit. But, like, yeah, I did gymnastics for 1 year, I did soccer for 1 year, I did Girl Scouts for 1 year, like, I just did everything in, like, blurbs. But
is this the longest lasting thing you've done so far? Is this podcast?
No, genuinely, other than, like, I was in band in high school, but I can't even say that I was not good. Like, I was just there, like, to be there. Social.
Yeah.
I was just there because, like, I got to take less math class. Like, you got to take less academic credits if you did band, so I just, like, did band. But Yeah, I think that, this podcast might be my longest hobby, which is really saying something.
Mhm.
Which I should have, by now, by my rule of standard, I should have quit because we're not that good at this, but...
I don't know. You guys
JK,
keep tuning in.
Do we want to do a little, like, recap-y? It's pretty...
Yeah.
This movie's fast and loose with this plot. It's
Yes.
way more about, like... It's a very character-driven and, like, quippy dialogue-driven
Yes.
movie, which, like, we can get into, like, I don't know how we feel about all that, because it's a lot. But it starts, so obviously starring Missy Peregrine, and it starts out with that we don't know that she's a girl. It's very much like a big reveal that like she like has her hood on and she's like on a BMX bike and she's with her bros and they're like in this abandoned or like a construction house and they're like doing like sick tricks in the empty pool of the house, and then these skaters come up and they're like, this is our turf, and they're like, fuck you, and then they're like, whoever can do the sickest jump off the roof of the house gets to stay. And it's so like, do you remember Disney XD?
Yes.
Do you remember when Disney did the spin-off channel Disney XD and they had like, it was like more like for boys.
Yeah.
It's like Disney shows, but like for the boys. Like Hannah Montana, it's for the girls, but Disney XD is for the boys. It was so Disney XD in the way that they were like, let's do a trick competition to see who gets to stay in the abandoned pool to do their skateboarding.
Yep.
And so the skateboarder, he goes off like the roof and into the pool, but then he falls, obviously. And then our hooded protagonist on the BMX bike does some sick tricks and lands it, and then goes through the like closed sliding glass door of the house, which feels entirely intentional. Like I know
She
it's
has brakes on that bike. There are brakes.
but like the way she was flipping and dipping and then just like zooted through the glass, I was like, oh, that was like a badass, like purposeful, like, and now for my final trick, I will bust through the glass of this house. Because it just, I don't know, like, she even kind of like leans into it. She kind of like jumps into it.
Yeah.
It feels,
she put her shoulder into it.
right, but then obviously like the alarms for the house start going off because they've like done property damage. And then they start running from the cops, and that's when she takes off her hood and we learn that she's a girl.
So hot.
A girl doing sick BMX tricks. Oh my goodness, I'm swooning.
It's like a slow-mo almost like running from the cops thing where her hair comes down and she's like like, you know what I mean?
And then she like very like Disney Channel original movie, like the voiceover comes in and she's like, this isn't my first encounter with the local police.
I wasn't ready for a serious relationship with crime yet, but now I think I am.
God.
Here's the thing, is like, it's bad, but I love it. I love the terrible voiceover.
You have to watch this movie with like an ironic, like fully aware that it was made in 2006 and sort of relishing in the fact that it's so early 2000s. Like,
it's a period piece.
yeah, it's not bad filmmaking by any standards, but just the whole like, I'm gonna talk like this because I'm the main character in the movie and I'm a badass girl. And like, oh my god, the music. Can we talk about the fucking music?
I love it.
It honestly,
it's a real time capsule.
It slaps so hard for like that, like all of a sudden blasting you into the past of like the Fall Out Boy,
like Blink 182.
Fall Out Boy, not once but twice. There are two occasions of Fall Out Boy. What is in the Missy Elliott opening intro of like graffiti,
so good.
like graffiti dripping. Oh, it's like made in like PixArt, like
oh yeah,
so bad. But so
I love it.
She gets booked by the police, and they do her little mug shots, and they say, you have two options. You can go to military school, or you can go to VGA, which we don't know what that means as an audience. And she said,
vagina.
And she said, and she says, I'll go to military school. And then they said, okay, then it's settled. You're going to VGA. And her parents are like fighting in the background because they're divorced. And it's basically like she lives with her dad because it's implied that the mom had left. And they're like, you know, fighting obviously like her kind of spiraling out and being a rebellious teen. Clearly stems from like her parents' marriage falling apart. And she's really acting out and being super rebellious. And so they're like, okay, you're going to VGA. And then she shows up to this gymnastics, like, boarding school, basically, complex.
Basically.
And then we learn that she, you know, used to be, like, a really competitive, like, one of the best in the country gymnast. And then she stopped doing it. And there's this whole scandal where she was, like, thought to be one of the best, but then she walked out in the middle of a competition, which, like, disqualified her whole team, and it was, like, a whole... So she's sort of, like, the bad girl of the gymnastics community. And the owner of the place where she's going to reside for the foreseeable future as punishment is Jeff Bridges. So...
Such an interesting choice, but, like, it works really well.
Gymnastics coach Jeff Bridges, and he's sort of like, I'm gonna give you tough love. And this is, like, why do I feel like this is a trope, even though I can't, like, offhand give any other examples, but of, like, a, you know, you're a wayward teen, and you are in trouble with the law, so instead of actually punishing you, we're gonna make you foster your natural talent for something. Like, you know what I mean? Like, here are your two options. Life in prison, or, you know, foster your natural ability for gymnastics to teach you a lesson. Like, why do I feel like that's, like, a thing, like, in other media of, like, am I...
No, like, because, like, I kind of know what you mean, but, like, I can't think of any other examples off the top of my head.
Yeah, but... I don't know. Anyways, she goes to this gymnastics academy run by Jeff Bridges, and he's basically, like, she immediately is just an asshole, and she, like, you know, pretends to be really bad, and is, like, making all these jokes, and he's like, okay, well, like, clearly you're not serious enough to, like, take this seriously and train with everyone, so you can go train by yourself. And she kind of just, like, fucks off and does whatever she wants, and then he makes everyone run, and until she joins them, they can't stop. And so then they're all pissed because she refuses to do it. And so then they all kick her out of, like, the communal house that they all live in.
The boarding house?
Yeah, like, the boarding house they all live in together. So they kick her out. And then Jeff Bridges pulls up and takes her to a diner and gives her some tough love and is like, hey, kid, you gotta straighten out. And then they basically come to this agreement that he will let her compete because she could maybe make some money out of it. And he's like, I'll put you on the team and you can, you know, compete. And if you win, you can get the... What do they keep calling it? The purse. The purse. They're like, he's like, you can get the purse, and that way we're both, you know, it seems like I'm straightening you out, and then you can win some money, and then, yeah, we're square. So she then he makes her walk home, which is like a whole, and that's how she really, like, learns her tough lesson of, like, I better get serious. So she starts training by herself off in, like, a warehouse sort of area, and we get a nice little montage of her doing gymnastics. Yeah. Okay.
We get the ice bath scenes.
Which, like, they didn't have
to. We'll get to it.
They didn't have to give us that, but
they did, and you know what? Thank you.
And she eventually comes around to training with the other girls because she kind of realizes that, like, without a coach there, she can't actually, like, improve on the things that she's, like, lacking on. So she starts training with the other girls, and that's sort of when we start to meet the other characters, which I think the most integral ones are Joanne, who is Jump Scare Sugar Mata from Glee, which I just love. Like, she, to me...
These are, like, the only two things she's ever done.
Right, and, like, impeccable. Like, she knows her brand to a T.
I love it.
Because she's so, like, that girl. I don't know. Like, I love it. But then there's also, obviously, Haley is Missy Peregrine, our protagonist. I don't know, I've said her name. But Haley, and then Mina, who's blonde and has bangs, and Wei Wei. Yep. And Mina and Wei Wei, there's also something a little gay going on there, I think.
Yeah.
For sure. They have, like, matching haircuts, and they're always, like, giggling with their cheeks, like, pressed together. I'm like, that's a little more than friendship. Like...
That's, like, neither of them have realized that they're in love with each other yet, but they're in love with each other.
Right, yeah, like, they're, like, gonna, like, accidentally kiss one day and be like,
What is this feeling?
We're just really, really good gal pals, if you know what I mean.
Such good friends.
But those are basically, they're, like, kind of the top gymnasts who are all, you know, sort of gonna qualify for the competition or whatever, and we, you know, see them mostly at the forefront of these, like, training scenes or whatever. Oh, and Haley also has her two guy friends, Jump Scare fucking Emmett from Twilight.
Love it. His spiky hair.
Oh man, his name is Frank, and then the other friend's name is Poot.
Poot.
And they call her Cracker. like, which
Yeah.
doesn't make
That was a choice.
But, like, so Poot and Frank are, like, her, like, skateboarding, like, BMX friends, basically. And they're kind of, like, in and out. Like, they come to visit sometimes. They're, like, trying to break her out or whatever. It's, like, a whole thing. But I'm like, Poot is clearly a nickname. Cracker is clearly a nickname. But Frank is just Frank.
Just Frank.
They're like, okay.
Yeah.
They're like, your name is already...
They said we can stick with that.
Yeah, no need for a nickname here. But Poot really gets me because, like, they never stray. We never learn his, like... His name's probably, like, Kyle or Brad or something. No, never. Not once. He's always Poot.
Yeah, I love it.
But then, basically, Haley kind of starts to, like, get everyone to, like, loosen up a little bit. Like, to, like, have a little bit more fun with it. And, like, stop being so serious. And, like, you can kind of, like, have some fun sometimes. And they go to a competition, some stuff they do some gymnastics, like, I don't know, they just, what even happens, at the first competition, basically, she just gets, like, a soda thrown on her, because everyone's like, you ruined,
fuck you, Haley.
Yeah, everyone's like, you ruined the World's Championship last year.
Yeah. It's very much like a fuck you, Haley sort of thing, and she gets, like, kind of, laid out by, like, everyone around her sort of thing, and then, like, she's, like, telling all the girls to, like, throw their hardest tricks and everything like that, because, I don't know, that's, like, the kind of gymnast she is sort of thing, but also at the same time, she's like, I want to win, so they're not landing their tricks and all that shit. And then you find out that, what is it? Jeff Bridges is getting, like, 4 times the amount of money from, like, her dad to train her and everything like that. And at the same time, she has, like, a heart-to-heart with Jeff Bridges being like, you don't know anything about Worlds. I found out my coach was cheating on, or was fucking my mom at Worlds, and that's why I walked out.
Yeah, so...
And then she, like, leaves.
Yeah, so...
She's like, I'm done with the gymnastics.
Well, yeah, she, like, walks out again. But, yeah, I think that's the most pivotal moment, is that we learn that her big scandal of her, like, being the bad girl was really because the moment before she was supposed to go do her big routine, she found out that her mom was fucking her gymnastics coach, and that's what, like, led to the big divorce. So that's, like, sort of the, like, mic drop moment, I guess. And then they just, like, go back to the fucking...
She, like, leaves, but, like, Jeff Bridges ends up being like, oh, shit, I really fucked up, and then he, like, pays off her, I don't know, like, fine for whatever her crime was and all that shit. So then she's like, okay, I guess I'll hang out with Jeff. And then, like, they end up, like, going to... I don't know if it was Worlds again, but basically, like, pretty immediately after...
Yeah, and
it's like...
This is where the movie starts to get good. Like, I think the third act of this movie is basically the best, like, the only one worth watching, even if you have no context leading up to it. Like, this last part of the movie, which I think that's so rare, for me anyways, I think it's so rare that it's, like, the last part of the movie is what, like, really gets me, because I love a deep exposition, but, like, this, I'm like, I don't even care about anything leading up to this, other than this last competition. Like, they could have just made this a 20-minute thing of this last competition, and I wouldn't care. But then also she's, like, teaching them to loosen up, and she introduces her 2 guy friends to all the gymnastics girls, and then there's, like, a little blossoming thing between Joanne and Poot, which, like, who really cares? And her mom is like, you're not going to prom, you're a gymnast, and she's like, fuck you, mom, I am going to prom, and it's, like, a whole thing. And then they're, like, at the mall, and they're doing cartwheels in the dresses. It's a whole thing. But then they go to the competition, and basically they're, okay, can we get into this for a second? Because I'm a little confused. So the judges, so they are doing the competition, and it basically is started by Mina is really fucking good at vault. And Mina does the vault, and it's, like, near perfect. Like, everyone's like, the audience is going wild. They're like, there's no way that this isn't, like, almost a perfect 10. And they give her a 9.5, which is clearly unfair. And Jeff Bridges basically is like, it has nothing to do with you. It's that I'm your coach. And they're punishing you for, like, being in my school because the judges have some beef against me. And this is where I'm, like, a little confused, because the judges... So, very early on in the movie, Haley does a wild trick and doesn't, like, land it, and everyone's like, oh! And he's like, what do we all say here? And everyone, like, chants in unison, like, safe tricks, always stick it, or some shit like that. Basically being like, don't overstep, or, like, don't push yourself too far. It's better to be safe than to, like, be impressive, basically. And and Haley's all, like, against that. She's like, no, I'm the wild child. I'm gonna do what I want. But then the judges, somebody makes a comment of, like, about someone who couldn't walk.
Yeah, I think what is implied is that Jeff Bridges used to, like, push girls, like, super hard, basically, and that ended up, like, resulting in, like, a lot of injuries and everything like that, and so now he's sort of changed his tone to be, like, okay, like, we take it, like, safety very seriously here at X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean?
I think that this movie could have really improved by them, like, delving into that for, like, literally all of 2 minutes for, like, of, like, him maybe having a heart-to-heart, or, like, not a flashback per se, but just some sort of piece of dialogue that explained to us, like, yeah, like, literally some girl, like, broke her neck and, you know, whatever, and that's why he is like this now or whatever, because it was, like, always alluded to but never, like, outright addressed, because, like, he's like, they hate me, but, like, we never, like, actually find out the actual, like, reason why, you know what I mean? Like, it's always, like, vague and kind of ambiguous, so that was just, like, I was, like, being annoyed by that, like, I'm being nitpicky, but basically, yeah, she just walks up to the vault and, like, slaps it, and basically it's like, I'm not doing this. And then Sugar Mata, what's her name? Joanne. Joanne is next, and Joanne is always, like, a little bit competitive, like, not super nice, like, always kind of trying to get in people's heads, and it's a big shocker moment that she also decides to scratch the event, and then that kind of triggers this whole thing of Haley being like, if the judges are going to be assholes, let's just all scratch every event except for the person that we all communally decide to be the best. And it's them sort of, like, rebelling, and she always does her little, like, rock and roll sign, and she's kind of like, fuck you, we're gonna take this into our hands. And so then by default, Mina gets to win and, like, you know, whatever, move on to the next round for Vault, and they do the same thing for the bars, and then they do it for the bar, and yeah, everything else is just sort of continuation. But the big moment is they say that Mina's score was deducted because her bra straps were showing, so all the girls, like, pull their bra straps out of their leotards.
Feminism was invented when this
literally
movie came out.
like, I don't need any of this movie other than just the sequence of girls pulling their bra straps out to be like, fuck you,
Love
and
it.
I'm gonna scratch the event. And that obviously leads up to there's one girl who's sort of adamantly against this system that they're doing, and they've all kind of decided that Haley's the one who's gonna win the floor event, and this other girl is like, no, I'm like, this is stupid, I'm not doing this. And so then Haley's like, well, you know, whatever you choose to do, like, whatever, but just, like, think about the statement we're making here. So then Haley does her routine.
This is bigger
than
this everyone.
Girl who we presume is gonna, like, not do it, she whips out her bra strap, so it's like a very girl boss friendship at the end of the day. But I do have to say, like, okay, Haley, you've decided to pull this big stunt where the whole competition is going to cater to whoever you want to win the event, and
you're one of them.
3 out of the 4 winners are from your fucking studio. Like, Mina gets to win the vault, some other random girl gets to win the 2 beams, so, like, that's the one who's not. You get to win the floor, and Wei gets to win the bars. Like,
Wei didn't win bars, actually. Yeah, happy ending, basically. Wei got second on beam because that one girl that was like, I'm gonna competed, and she got first. But actually, it's funny enough that you say some random girl wins bars, because that's not just some random girl. That's actually Nastia Lukin, who she went on to win the all-around gold medal at the Olympics. Like, she's a real gymnast.
See, I knew there were, like, some gymnastic fun facts in here that I, like, skimmed over in IMDb, and I'm like, I don't have the mental capacity to, like, I know, like, some, what's her name, like,
Nastia Lukin?
No, but there's also some other, like, they're, like, former Olympians who, like, act as, like, the moderators, and, like, they're peppered throughout this movie are, like, former, like, gymnastics Olympians, like, playing, like, side roles and characters and stuff. Which I like. I don't know any of their names because I just don't know that. But that's wild. I did, like, wonder why. So all of the main girls have obviously stunt doubles doing all of their tricks for the most part, and I'm like, they
had to, like, do, like, a good bit of gymnastics though. Like,
yes.
They had to, like. like you're watching Missy Peregrine for a minute and you're like, she's doing this. She had to like learn how to throw her fucking tricks and all that
Yeah,
shit.
like the standard enough to do the launches and the landings basically. The actresses did, but all in between. And actually, fun fact that I did retain from IMDb is on that first competition, the girl who throws the Coke at Missy Peregrine, that's her stunt double.
That's so funny.
So that's her, like, gymnastic stunt double. And they're like, yeah, you can just be in the
that.
scene. Like, you can just be the bitch who throws the Coke on her. And she's like, yeah, sure. So that's actually the girl who does all the real gymnastic shit in between, which is kind of cool. But that is super cool. I almost did wonder why they didn't get more actual gymnasts to be in these roles. Because, like, I think, like, Mina and Weiwei are sort of, like, inconsequential characters. Like, they don't act a ton. They're very in the background. Very few, like, lines of dialogue. You could have just got legit gymnasts to do that.
Oh, yeah. I don't think a lot of gymnasts have, like, very much time to, like, film a movie, though, you know what I mean?
True, but, I mean,
because they are, like, in the gym 24 hours a day, sort of thing. Like, that's one thing, like, the gymnastics world is fucking hard. Like, all of this shit she was saying about it being, like, the most competitive stuff, and, like, you just break your whole body, and everything like that. Like, there's this one monologue in the middle of it where she's, like, in the training gym, like, by herself, being like, oh yeah, if you like having like rips the size of quarters on your hands, like bars is for you and shit like that. Gymnastics is buck fucking wild, dude. It's insane. Like, even just like watching some of the like, and these are all like stunts and everything like that, obviously, you know what I mean? But like, obviously they're real gymnasts. I remember there was one part, like watching it last night, that like reminded me how crazy it is, where it's like someone mounts the beam like into a flip, like she flips onto the beam and like lands. It's insane. I think it's 4 inches wide or something like that.
When they
absolutely nuts.
What always gets me is when they like intentionally do a flip and land on their crotch on the bar.
So wild. So wild.
I'm like, you're like getting fucking pussy slammed. Like, I can't. But I love the line of dialogue from that montage where she's like, we are Marines, but we don't carry guns. Like, she's basically like, we train just as hard and like we do shit that Marines do, but like we just don't carry a gun. And I'm like, hell yeah, girl. Like,
it's so true. It's so fucking true. These like girls are balls to the fucking walls. It's insane. I was talking to Alyssa last night because she was watching it with me, and there's this one scene basically that Joanne's like the alternate for like the first competition or something like that, and like this one girl goes and ends up getting hurt. And then she's like, okay, like, Joanne, you're in, because that girl's hurt, or whatever. And all that she did was, like, split the beam, which is basically, like, you split the beam, like, you land on your crotch, like, on the beam, like, by accident, sort of thing. And yeah, I was talking to Alyssa about it, and she was like, yeah, that shit is some of the most pain you will ever feel in your fucking life. And it's not even because you're, like, slamming your pussy on the beam, but, like, scraping your entire legs, like, against a beam. She was like, yeah, we'd go, and, because she did it when she was from, like, very young, probably like 5 years old to like maybe like 15 or something like that. And she was like, yeah, all of the girls, whenever we'd split the beam, it's just like one of those things where you just start immediately crying. And it's like not even like because it's like you're like crying, it's just like that reaction that's like your body doesn't know what to do, so you just start bawling.
Wild.
You're like laughing too, but like you're sitting there, you're like, this hurts so bad.
Yeah, I like people who are built for that shit, I just cannot.
It's insane.
I cannot believe. That's why, like, to me, as far as the Olympics goes, that's ice skating and gymnastics. And maybe I'm just a little, like, fruity in that way, but, like, those are the only two, like, events that ever capture my interest in any sort of way. Mm-hmm. Because to me, ice skating is just, like, ice gymnastics, you know? Like, basically. It's, like, transferable, I don't know. But, like, gymnastics, it's fucking crazy. Like, if somebody is, like, really good at, I don't know, what are other, like, swimming? Like, okay. Like, that's, I don't really care.
You swim fast.
Like, that's...
Or track. You run fast.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like,
Archery,
good for
you. Should, like...
Good for you, but I, like, don't want to watch it. But, like, gymnastics, to watch somebody do some fucking shit like that is, like, as a human being, you're like, I cannot believe that we are in the same vehicle. Like...
It's one thing too, because it's like gymnastics as a sport is like one event is basically what like everyone else's like sport is like training for, you know what I mean? Like if you just did vault, that's like in my head, like I equate that to like swimming, you know what I mean? They have to do 4 different events, and every one of them is insane. Bars? Just the concept of bars is nuts.
This is why I quit everything. I, like, fell once at gymnastics and had the wind knocked out of me, and I was like, I'm not going back.
You should quit gymnastics. Like, you have to be such a special breed of person to do it, like, competitively. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
Yeah, not for me. If somebody said something mean to me even once, I would just cry. I would just be like, okay, I'm out of here. Like, yeah, the mental fortitude as well. Like, not only the physical fortitude, but I feel like because it's such a female-oriented sport, not to say that there aren't male gymnasts, because there certainly are, but I feel like, I don't know, at least in America, it's very much like girls do dance and gymnastics, like, traditionally, like, not that that's right or anything, but I think, like, the more, like, female-oriented things, it's, like, have a certain era of, like, cattiness, or, like, you have to get into people's heads, like...
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like...
It's an incredibly competitive.
Yeah, like, more male-oriented sports are just, like, we're just gonna hit each other, and that's, like, the sort of competitive nature, whereas this is, like, I'm gonna, like, plant a seed of doubt in your mind that you're not as good as you think you are, and, like, that sort of thing. I don't know, I feel like there's always... And with the moms, too, especially, like, sporting parents for, like, quote-unquote girl sports are, I think, is so much, like, problematic in the way that they treat their own children, as, like, seen in this movie, and also in the problematic way that they, like, tolerate, like, the way that those people treat each other. I don't know, like, in this movie, we kind of see that, like, dance mom sort of mindset of, like, that they...
The tiger mom kind of
thing. They care so much about their kid's success that they actually don't think about the, like, actual well-being of their child. They're like, oh, you're, like, on this certain track to, like, be an Olympian or to be the best of the best, so, like, I'm not thinking about, like, you going to school or, like, having formative social experiences. And, like, the girls sort of, like, joke about it amongst themselves. And it's especially with Joanne, like, saying to Haley, like, oh my god, like, you have friends? Like, you have friends who are boys? Like, how do you know boys? You, like, and Haley's like, yeah, they're called friends. Try it sometime or something like that.
Yeah.
But it is just, like, that is a sad life.
Yeah, entirely. And these girls devote their entire being to it. It's wild. No, that is, like, one of those lines of quippy dialogue, though, that really stick out. Like, Haley's all quips. That's it. And I think that's part of the reason, like, when you were younger, you're like, oh my god, she's so cool. Oh my god, she's so hot.
That's
you know what I mean?
So let's get into the Haley of it all for a minute, because, like, she's just such an interesting female protagonist, and I don't think we see a lot like her in other pieces of media, which is, I think, maybe why this was kind of like a, not triggering, but, like, sort of like a movie that spurred a lot of, like, women to feel some type of way about it, because so rarely do we see she's super headstrong, confident, knows herself. Like, yeah, okay, that's a fair amount of other, like, women in film, but she's also, like, kind of tomboyish, which we don't get a ton. She's, like, in the cargo shorts, she's in the baseball hat, which I feel like when we get that, it's always a side character or a background character who's sort of like the like gay coded, like the queer coded, like, friend or side character that we get. I feel like that's very rarely our protagonist, which is an interesting case here. She has no love interest. That's my favorite part of this movie. It's great. Not once is there.
Both of her friends are just friends.
Yes, there's never a moment between her and Frank or her and Poot. There's nothing. She's like, yeah, they're just my friends, because there's a whole scene where Joanne basically interrogates Haley, being like, so is, like, one of them your boyfriend? And she's like, no, like, they're my friends. And she's like, okay, oh, they're, like, fair game? And she's like, yeah, like, do whatever the fuck you want, like, literally they're just my friends, which I really appreciated the inclusion of that scene, and especially that they didn't make one of them, because they really easily could have made, if Poot was going to be with Joanne, then they could have made Frank, like, sort of like a looming love interest for Haley or whatever. It would have, you know, if they wanted to do that, like, they could have, but they didn't, and I'm so happy that they did, because it would have taken away from this movie, because it's about her and her, like, experience with the sport and herself and her growth as a person. We don't need unnecessary love. I think this movie should be a shining example that, like, they could have added it and they didn't, and it would have added nothing. It would have added nothing to me.
Exactly. No, it was, like, you know what? I'm most glad that they explored Poot and Frank's relationship. That duo was the only thing that I needed, really.
I love, I can't take credit for this thought. It's like some people on Letterboxd were talking about, like, the unbreakable bond between a lesbian and her himbos. Like,
literally.
like the amazing friendship that is just like a headstrong lesbian and just some himbos. Like
her two boys.
I fucking love it. But yeah, I love that they were just her pals and that they didn't include that in it, and that she's kind of rude, she's kind of bitchy.
I love that she's mean. I love that she's rude.
Like she says whatever she wants and she doesn't apologize for it. And I will say, like, I don't love the writing on this movie and the way that like everything she says is gonna be a quippy little and like I'm like, okay.
Well, like, that was 2006.
But that's what I mean. That's why you have to watch this as like almost like a satirical, ironic period piece.
We've talked about this before. This is kind of like how Juno was.
Yeah.
Like it was a 2006 period piece sort of thing.
But I think Juno was almost like ironic to begin with the way they wrote that movie. Whereas I think this movie feels a little. It feels too earnest. Like I'm like, oh, they're trying so hard for this to be like a comedy, and now she says a line, and then Jeff Bridges says a line, and then she says a line, and ooh Z snap, ooh she got him. Like that, it feels too earnest in that way. But I guess if you just as a 2022 viewer, if you're like, oh, this is fucking stupid, like, then you can move past it.
But while like their back and forth is a little meh, in that way, I do really like the not dynamic, oh god, what the chemistry between Jeff Bridges and Missy Peregrym I thought was kind of perfect. It was like really good, if you ask me.
So if we're talking about chemistry, who is letting Jeff Bridges have these long, intimate hugs with every single underage girl after they finish their gymnastics routine? I'm sorry, like, he's fine.
That's one of those things that, like, that's literally like how your coaches be.
That's so weird. Is that weird of me? Is that like wrong of me to think that that's so weird that they if you cut out the hugs scenes in this movie, you take a solid 10 minutes. It's like after every girl finishes her event, they have like a long embrace between her and Jeff Bridges. Is that how it is?
No, but like, yeah, it is, I think. From what I talked about, with Alyssa last night, it's one of those things, like we were talking about it, like these girls are in the gym for like 8 hours a day and everything like that. This is like a person that like basically becomes a parent because you see them all the time. And everything like that. Like, I remember, like, Alyssa's, coaches and everything like that. It was like, yeah, it was sort of the same way. Like, you get to be, like, really close with these adults.
That, it's, like, to me, that would be, like, if, like, at a jazz band concert, if after ripping, like, a great solo, if Henry and Fran just had, like, a long, tender embrace. Like, what the fuck? Like, I guess, incomparable, but, like, what...
No, I think, yeah, it's one of those things. I think it's very much like just a gymnastics thing itself. But like, yeah, I don't know. I think these people like very much like become sort of like parental figures to you, especially because like a lot of these girls are doing this. This isn't just like a sport you pick up. Like you start doing this when you're like 4 or 5 years old. So like they've been around these coaches since they're for like 10 plus years or something like that. Like 90% of their day, you know what I mean? So
and like I don't know a lot about it, but I do think it's fucking wild that like quote unquote retirement age for a gymnast is like
it's like 22.
Yeah, like if you're 20, you're old. If you're above 20, you're like old in the gymnastics world. Like at the Olympics, those are fucking kids. Like
yeah,
that's insane to me.
They're like a lot of them aren't even 18 yet. Like 16, I think, is like prime age.
That's wild. And I'm like, I wonder if there is a piece of media that explores this, like a documentary or something. Somebody let me know. But like, what do you do mentally? The mental fortitude of from birth until, let's say, 16, 17, your whole life is this one thing, gymnastics. You do the Olympics, you win, whatever, you retire. Then you're 22. What's your life like? Like, I mean, I think you obviously go on to coach or judge or, like, still be a part of that world, which makes sense to me. But I just can't imagine feeling like the apex of your life was when you were, like, 15.
Basically. It's crazy.
And, like, on paper, you will never be physically better at this thing than you were then. And now, what's the rest of your, like, how does that mentally affect a person? I'm just curious. Like, that's wild to me.
Oh yeah, it's insane. Yeah, a lot of them go on to coach and everything like that. But it's one of those things too, like I don't think you realize, because you're 15, you're so in it that you don't realize until like years later, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just wild. Interesting, because like couldn't be me or anyone I know to like be that balls to the wall about something. But
No, you have to be so physically, like, tough, but also, like, mentally and emotionally. It's insane.
right?
Gymnastics is just wild.
How many foreigner gymnasts like go postal? Like I want to know because I really feel like it might be a lot. Whoa! I would never have guessed who just showed up. It's my mom, Jen, here to host the interim podcast segment, Chocolate or Vanilla. Jen shows up. She's our lovely, gracious host. She says two things. We all say which one we love better, like better. Love is a strong word. And it's a game that you made up. And is there a theme this week?
There is a theme. I did the cast of this movie, so it's got a bit of a stick-it theme to it.
Okay.
Okay. I've already informed the audience your root of love of this movie is because you love the cops. You love TV cops.
I do love TV cops.
Specifically, Missy Peregrine in the TV show Rookie Blue, which I'm gonna bet my life right now that you have a Rookie Blue related question.
In about 2 seconds, Rookie Blue is going to come
Okay.
Knew it. All right, let's rip it.
out. Chocolate or vanilla?
Chocolate.
Vanilla.
Chocolate. Chocolate, vanilla, strawberry?
I gotta say, this movie's a little fruity, so I gotta say strawberry.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with you on that one. Strawberry today.
Yeah, I'm feeling kind of summery, so I feel strawberry today. All right, so Missy Peregrine as Haley Graham in this, or Missy Peregrine as Andy McNally in Rookie Blue,
Which is, like, I've said it before about
the
this.
Canadian crime drama TV show. 6 seasons of pure, just cop fun.
Pretty mediocre cop fun. I have said it before about like the CW, like Supergirl and Flash shows. Like they only renewed Rookie Blue seasons 3 through 6 because you and Dad DVR'd it on every TV in our house, and they're like, well, we've got 9. Not 9, we don't have 9 TVs. 3. They're like, we've got 3 solid viewers from Central Mass, so might as well just keep that shit running. Little did they know it was just you.
It's not even Dad, it's just me. I fly solo on my Rookie Blue love.
Oh my god.
But I'm gonna say Haley Graham because Haley Graham runs from the cops.
That's
And-
very true.
That's where I'm at.
Obviously, I think I gotta pick Haley Graham, queer icon, for this month, so.
I am so gonna pick Andy McNally. All right, so then related to that is, it's kind of a would you rather. Would you rather accidentally arrest your boss on your first day on the job, or would you rather accidentally find yourself with a grenade taped to your hand by the perp in the school cafeteria?
Okay, and so
What?
these are two things that happened in Rookie Blue.
Yes. Oh, yes.
I think it's
Yeah,
pretty
I
obvious.
thought you were gonna say like I thought you were gonna say like be the cop or run from the cops, like, you know, like a spunky Haley Graham versus
Yeah, right.
her cop alter. So
No.
what I either have a little mishap with my boss or I have a grenade strapped to me. Those are my two options. I'll take a little
Andy just
awkward social interaction. It happens
finds
to me
her
every
way
day.
into trouble.
Uh-huh. Yeah, no, I'd really rather keep my hand. I was gonna say, Jen, Pride started because of protests, like, involving cops and everything, like, and Stonewall and all that shit. This is, like, really throwing me off for this month.
Well, I would rather accidentally arrest Sam Swarrick on my first day on the job.
Like, anyone out here that says they'd rather have a grenade taped to their hand, like...
Next one is Vanessa Lenges as Joanne in this, or Vanessa as Sugar Mata in Glee.
Yes, she is an icon and a legend, and I do think that her role here is a little
The
more
archetype.
like, it's like
Yeah.
it's a little more understated because she's just absurd. Like in Glee, she's just kind of absurd, and she's only there for like a hot minute. Whereas I think
Yeah.
that here, like, she's really a scene stealer in this
Yeah.
movie, and so I got to give it to her as Joanne in this because I love that we hate her, but then we like hate to love her,
Yeah.
love to hate her, but you gotta like respect her, I don't know, she's just funny. When she says, what does she say? Like, you need an intervasectomy.
Yeah.
A cardiovasectomy.
Cardiovasectomy. She's just.
I'm gonna need one. You're gonna need one. We're all gonna need a cardiovasectomy.
She has the line. She's like, "Think about your weenus,"
and then
she's like doing
she
the
legit
thing, yeah.
like pulls it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say her as Joanne in this because I do think that like this was sort of like the blueprint for Sugar Mata a little bit. You know what I mean? Still like that ditzy girl.
Yeah. Agreed. She's like, they don't call it gymnastics.
This movie's
so good.
They should call it gay-nastics. That's what this movie.
Oh my god. No, this movie is so quotable though.
All right, so then we have a triple. So Vanessa in the purple dress in Glee singing "I Don't Care, I Love It" by Icona Pop. In a green dress singing "Locked Out of Heaven" by Bruno Mars, or in a black dress singing a mashup of Adele, "Rumor Has It," and "Someone Like You."
I don't even remember her being in that many episodes. I just remember her singing Real Big Spender for her audition. And I can, like, close my eyes and I can hear it. What were it was based off of dress color? I'll go...
Yeah. Purple, green, or black.
I'll
So,
go with
Icona Pop, Bruno Mars, or Adele.
I'll go with black dress and Adele.
Yeah.
Seems kind of iconic.
That was an iconic song. Like she wasn't like the main one singing it or anything like that. It was fully like Santana and Mercedes, and it was always such a good duo when they were together.
Was that the Adele episode where Gwyneth Paltrow comes in?
I don't know. No, this is the one where like Santana. I don't know if it was that one, but I know Santana like slaps the shit out of Finn because like she thinks he outed her and all that. Like
and
big drama.
They split up. The girls formed their own group.
Yeah. I don't think this was. I don't think this was that episode.
There's like the treble tones or something.
Oh my god.
But I'm gonna say the purple dress because everyone's singing that song. I don't care. I love it, and she's in the background acting all like doing the I don't care walk kind of thing. Like, yeah, she's like yawning and like making faces and stuff. So, on purpose, like it was part of the choreo.
Yeah.
Of course.
Of course. Next one is Jeff Bridges as Burt Vickerman in this, or as the bad guy in Iron Man, the Ironmonger.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I was, and then I changed it.
I do not even recall him being in any Marvel movie, so I'll definitely say for the trampoline stunt alone, I'll say him in this.
In my mind, he did that himself. He did his own
stunts. Yes, I hope so.
Yeah, no, I'm also gonna go with him as Burt Vickerman.
I will too. So sweep for Burt Vickerman, who is like, you guys must have talked about how creepy he was in this, right?
Yeah. Why is he hugging those girls?
Because he's a gymnastics coach.
Jen, too soon, Jen.
Yeah. Like, you're not wrong, but...
So, maybe edit that out. Next one is Pepper Potts or Happy Hogan.
Pepper Pot. And so now we're just divulging from your last question was about Jeff Bridges. So now it's just I have to say, I love, my favorite thing is that in interviews, Gwyneth Paltrow she's like, I don't even know which ones I'm in.
For real.
She's like, Marvel movies, she's like, I don't even really know. She's like, they just pay me, I show up for like 2 days of shooting, I don't read the rest of the script, she doesn't like go see them. I love how detached from the whole franchise, like she's truly just there for that check.
I love it.
And I know that Jon Favreau he's deep in it.
Yeah.
So I respect Gwen far more, so.
Yeah. Bonus for Gwen, too, because she was in Glee, and she was a great character in Glee. So I'm gonna stick with Gwen as well.
True. Me too. I'll go with Gwen. Next one is Kellen Lutz as Frank in this, or as Emmett in Twilight.
No doubt in my mind I am picking him as Emmett.
Yeah.
Which I think very, in the same way that Joanna was the blueprint for Sugar Mata. I think Frank was maybe the blueprint for Emmett.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, he can really play a himbo. And that is what we were looking for Emmett. That's he did his like sizzle reel of him as Frank, and they were like, "Oh, you're perfect." Him with the sideways baseball cap, they're like, "Oh, that's gonna come into play later."
Yeah, literally. Yeah, no, it's him as Emmett for sure.
Yeah, Emmett for me too. So now Emmett standing up in the Jeep when it pulls into the school parking lot, or Emmett colliding with Edward midair in center field during the baseball game.
Wait, can I choose Emmett with a Ziploc baggie full of a dozen hard-boiled eggs at the lunch? So have you ever seen...
That's what normal high schoolers bring to lunch.
He's like, well, I'm kind of huge, so I'm like a gym guy. So I've got to get that protein. I need a dozen hard-boiled eggs. Literally so funny.
Like that's how people are gonna know they're vampires. Like not from anything else. It's because like what the fuck is that?
Like, bring an Uncrustable, dude. Like, Carlisle and Esme need to, like, invest in some, like, really typical snacks. Like, those, they could just reuse, like, bags of Doritos.
Literally.
Like, just
the same ones.
Some strategic planning could have got into their lunch regiment. But I am gonna have to say him and Edward clashing in the air, because if you make me choose anything in the baseball scene versus anything in the entire Twilight franchise, I'm gonna pick something in the baseball scene.
Yeah. I like to see two bros colliding. So I'm gonna pick that one.
Me too. I'll pick the collision. Next one is Julie Warner as Joanne's mom in this, or as Lou in Doc Hollywood.
I don't know what that is, so even though she's a fucking bitch, I was gonna use a worse word just then, but I shouldn't. But, she's a bitch in this. Just let your daughter go to prom, but she plays it well, so I'll pick her in this. I don't know what the fuck Doc Hollywood is.
Yeah, I also have no idea what Doc Hollywood is, so I'll choose her in this.
Okay, the next question's probably not going to go well then, but I'm going to take her as Lou. She was the ambulance driver in Doc Hollywood. It was Michael J. Fox, and he was like going to be a plastic surgeon on his way to Hollywood, and he got stranded like down south, and then he has to be the doctor for this small town. It's really a funny movie. So the next one is the annual squash festival, or the pet pig named Jasmine, both from Doc Hollywood.
Which I don't want any context, and I'm gonna pick the pet pig named Jasmine because you have a coworker who has a pug named Jasmine, and I'd like to think that pigs and pugs are very similar. So I'd like to think that this character in this movie embodies the wonderful spirit of Jasmine the pug. So
I'm gonna go for the annual squash festival because I love like a farmer's market kind of thing, and that's like the vibe that I'm getting from the squash festival. So
yeah, you would love it. It was a whole 2-day event. There was like a dance and a amusement park the night before, and then there was a parade.
Wonderful.
Jasmine walked in the parade on a leash. It was really good.
Okay.
I will take the squash festival also.
You're really selling this movie, Jen.
You should watch it. It's really funny. It's very quotable. And the last one is another triple. Joanne's bra strap reveal, Haley's bra strap reveal, or Trista Skilkin's bra strap reveal.
So I have to say Joanne's bra strap reveal because you're not expecting it, right? Or like you're not supposed to be expecting it. It's sort of like, she's so competitive, there's no way she's gonna do it. And then she does it, and then she does her little strut, and it's like, oh my god. So then by the time that other bitch does it, it's kind of already played out. Like, it's good that she does it, but I think that the first hit of Joanne doing it hits way harder than the later hit of, I'm like, oh, so they're just doing, like, the same kind of, like, bit again, you know? So... And Joanne does her little like model walk, and I like that.
I'm gonna go with Haley's because she's the person that like set the whole thing in motion.
Agreed. And her bra was like beautiful periwinkle blue color. It's really pretty.
Jen, the attention to detail.
I was gonna say, that's kind of gay of you, Jen.
But also, and Trista's though is like aggressive. She pulls her bra strap like across her body.
I was gonna say, like, you can't wear that bra anymore.
So I'm gonna take Trista's. She really meant it when she did it.
True.
So, but that is it for Stick It, chocolate or vanilla.
Stunning. Well, as always, Jen, thank you so much. If anyone out there thinks that we should cover the movie Doc Hollywood, slide into our DMs, because that's all I'm really getting out of this. So as always, Jen, thank you so much. We'll try to post these on our Instagram. We'll see, but keep your eyes peeled, and you can vote for your favorite Stick It character, actor, transferable moments. And Jen, goodbye.
All right, I love you guys. Have an awesome week.
Can I talk about the cinematography in this movie for a minute? Because this was one of those movies. Well, this is just one of those movies that I feel like watching it when I was young, was like, I think the movie that like I sort of like realized like cinematography is like a thing almost. You know what I mean?
Oh,
like the long shot, like a lot of it's like the long shots, like looking dead on, like at the vault sort of thing. Or like for me, the thing that sticks out a lot was they have an in-house competition at one point, and it's a lot of like layering. It's almost like a kaleidoscope kind of thing of all of these girls doing all of their routines, which like obviously they're not doing it at the same time, but the way they layered it made it look like they were all doing it at the same time.
Very cool, yeah.
And it was so sick. And I remember like being like 10 years old watching it and jaw on the floor because I thought it was the coolest thing you could ever do in a movie.
See, like, it's interesting, like, I think as a young person it would really get you. And to me now, I'm like, if you remove all the visual gags from this movie, like all the montage, so many montages. Every montage, every montage, every like visual gag. If you cut all those out of this movie is like 26 minutes long without all the all the sequences of people doing gymnastics to me specifically, it's the opening scene of what you're referencing of the bunch of girls sitting in a circle and all like moving their legs in certain directions, and it like looks like a kaleidoscope. And they stay on that for like 5 minutes, and I don't care because it's like fucking cool to look at.
It's cool as hell. They got a good song over it.
But when you think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, the plot of this movie they really cram into like
you said, fast and loose. Yeah. Because like all of a sudden, it's like a feminist thing at the last competition.
At the very end,
you're kind of like, where did this come from?
And it's like,
no idea.
It's all about like this deep friendship and like the bond we have, and like these are my girls. And
none of that's been
and
here.
Like, how long have you even been at this facility? Like 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Like
I was gonna say, yeah, I don't know.
But even like like them doing cartwheels in the dresses at the mall, like that's a whole thing. Or like just like her. Just everything is
her training.
Yes, everything's like a gag or a montage or whatever, which I think is a choice, and I think it certainly is a way to make a film like visually enticing and interesting and entertaining. But I'm like, it was just over and over and over and over again that it was like gag after bit after, and the fact that it was filled in between by like the quippy, snappy, bad sitcom dialogue was. I'm like, objectively, this is not a good movie, but like to me, as far as like nostalgia and just like watching it as like this is like a silly 2006.
I had a great time.
I was like, I'm here for the montages and the like stupid the stupid visual gags, because it's just like fun and stupid. That's what I think. You just need to like accept that some movies are fun and stupid, and then if you have that mindset, it's so much more enjoyable than rather being like, this is not I don't know.
Is it a good movie? No, but it is a good movie. You know what I mean? Like, I think it got a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes from the critics score, but the audience score was a 73.
See, that's my
very kind telling. Extremely telling.
That's my kind of movie. Yeah, I think that your experience with the film is all about how much fun you have while you watch it. A lot of the time, and I think there are a lot of serious movies that aren't necessarily fun to watch that are still like good and have merit. But like personally, I think my favorite movies to watch that afterwards I'm like, my blood pressure's kind of up. Like, I'm kind of having a good time. Like, my heartbeat is going. I'm just a little, like, in a good mood now. That's how this movie definitely makes me feel. Because and, like, all the, like, stupid side characters, like, from watching this from when I was a really little kid, like, yeah, I'm going to say, like, somewhere between the ages of, like, 9 and 12, I think I watched this movie, like, a good handful of times in that time. Yeah. And, the scenes that I absolutely, like, shot by shot remember are Jeff Bridges jumping on the trampoline and hurting himself.
Love it. Ugh. I just want to jump on that trampoline so bad. Have you ever been on a trampoline like that?
No.
They launch you, dude. Oh my god. It's so much fun. Like, I get, like, cravings for it.
I, as an adult in my adult body, have a really hard time, like, locking my knees. Like, you know, when you jump on a trampoline, you have to lock your knees because that's how you bounce if your knees bend. And so I feel like I was not that old when you and I went to a trampoline park with my friends Rachel and Kevin.
This was, like, probably, like, I think we were, like, 19, 20-ish or something like that.
Yeah. We were...
This is so bad.
We were not of drinking age, so we were just like, what's a fun thing that we can do? So we all went to one of those indoor trampoline parks, which I was a little iffy about, but my friend Kevin insisted that it's a great time. And I, like, again, I kind of...
It was. I had a blast. We all had a blast.
I stayed a little modest. Like, the really big ones kind of freaked me out, because, again, I do have, like, a heart... Like, I just buckle my knees, because that's just, like, how you instinctually, like, don't get
like
hurt.
a baby deer sort of
well,
thing.
like, that's, like, how you, like, don't fucking hurt yourself, right? So...
Yeah.
But my friend Kevin, literally, he rolls his ankle, and then we're at this indoor trampoline park, and it before my very eyes, swole up from a normal ankle size to, like, a grapefruit, and I was like, oh god.
It happened in, like, 30 seconds.
I was like, oh god, we gotta get out of here. And so,
it was so funny, too. It was so funny because we went you get like an hour and a half or something like that of like bounce time.
It happened.
This was the last 5 minutes.
It happened at an hour 25. Like, it was wild. And so I run to the front desk and I'm like, hey, like, my friend just got hurt. They don't have a wheelchair. Like, they did not have any medical, no medical equipment at the indoor trampoline park. And I was like, what the fuck? And they like brought us an office chair. They're like, we have a rolling office chair. And I'm like, what kind of, this is an OSHA violation. Like, why is there no, like, medical equipment? But then we drove him to the hospital and he was fine. But, like, he had a sprained ankle, but it ended up being fine.
Yeah.
But
it was bad. It was really bad.
And my adult trampoline experiences ended there because I feel no need. I feel no need.
Yeah.
But it was, so basically the two things, gun to my head, the two things I could tell you about this movie between ages, 13 and 22, where Jeff Bridges is gonna jump and fall off of a trampoline and it's gonna be so funny. And fucking Wei Wei's hip-hop double bar routine. Is that what that's called? Or beam? Her beam routine. That was, like, the one thing. I think before I had even seen this movie in full, I think my mom, like, pulled me out of my room as a kid to make me. She's like, this is the best part of this movie. You have to come see. Like, I hadn't even seen it. And she was like, you gotta watch Wei Wei's hip-hop bar routine. And I was like, okay, Mom. Like, it's, it's like 10:30 on a school night, but, like, you're pulling me out of my room to watch Wei Wei's routine.
It's like you were, like, almost asleep and like, Dara, get up.
But those were, like, the two things. No. And I think that goes to show, like, that this movie is just, like, kind of stupid and fun. But Wei Wei's fucking routine is, like, the one part of this movie that I like. I'm like,
it does stick
yes!
Out. Yes! Oh my god.
Because what does she, what does she say, like, as she's walking up, she goes, like, I'm gonna shake things up. And then she
she's, like, spinning on her head, doing, like, full, like, break dancing. I'm
so
like, holy
funny.
shit. Which, like, mind you, it's, like, one of those things, it's so funny because they have, like, Nastia Luke in there doing, like, actual, like, Olympic grade, like, material on bars. And then they have, like, Wei Wei doing, like, a headstand or whatever. And then, oh my god, Haley's fucking floor routine is the most heinous shit I've ever seen in the world. It was, like, even watching this as a kid, because I was at gymnastics competitions all the time.
Oh, you were like, this is trash?
I was in the gymnastics world. I was like a fucking, like, I did not do gymnastics. I did it for maybe like 2 years or something like that. And then I was like, I'm gonna go do karate. But I was always at my sister's competitions and everything like that. So, like, I know a fair bit about gymnastics, and I remember watching that routine and being like, this is shit garbage, dude.
I just know.
I'm like, those stupid punches. I was like, you really leaned into the punk rock thing, like, way too much.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot.
No, I know that she just, like, picked a Fall Out Boy song, so I immediately was like, oh, so this is a joke. Like, so this is satire. Oh, so you're like,
so you're
making fun.
Of
You're,
it.
like, making fun of the sport. Okay. which is like her whole thing. But the fact that that was supposed to be like the big, and that's why I'm like, Haley, you choreographed this whole like rebellion movement, and you choose yourself to be a winner. That is not how leadership
now.
works. Like, you can be the leader, but you can't be the star as well. Like,
Can we talk about how this movie's gay though?
this movie is so
a little bit.
This movie's so gay, and that's like I said before. I love that there's no romantic interest because Missy Peregrine as Haley, our protagonist, so conventionally hot, Hollywood hot. She is just like a 10 out of 10 hot girl. Like, she's a hot girl,
Literally.
and they're like, no, she's gonna be butch and she's gonna be good at gymnastics, and that's it. And I love because I think, like, how many movies do we have? You know, our conventionally attractive protagonist, female, you know, protagonist, where there isn't a love interest, like, barely ever. Right? Because if a movie is about a woman and there's no love interest, she has to be, like, there's something weird about her, or she's, like, a witch or a goblin or a old... or she's old! Oh.
Oh, God!
But I don't know, I love that she was just hot, no boys.
She's just hot and butch.
And she was hot, she was butch, no boys, and she was just, like, good at gymnastics and took ice baths. It was for us. Like...
Yeah. I'm like, if I did gymnastics and she came to VGA, I wouldn't stand a chance. I'd be like, she's hot and she's gonna be mean. Oh no.
She's wait, we're like in the communal housing and she's taking her ice bath and I'm knocking at the door. I'm like, hey Haley, you need anything? Some tea.
Did you forget a towel?
Some tea, a snack, maybe a little just
A kiss?
okay, some company.
It's like, Jesus Christ. They literally, like you said before, the tight shots on her, like,
torso.
six-pack abs. Oh my God. Like, yeah, no wonder I'm fucking gay after watching this movie. Like, they knew what they were doing.
And I think they like leaned into it. So like, not only are there like so many like body shots of her like in gymnastics gear or like in an ice bath or like doing just impressive feats with her body, but she's also like, she's funny and she's cool and she's a bit of a rebel.
Exactly.
Which is like so the
This is very
prototype.
much-
Like, she is the blueprint.
She was very much the, like, I don't know if I want to be her, which I do want to be her, but I also want to marry her.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? It's the same, like, Jesus Christ. How does she make cargo pants look good? It's like cargo, like cargo capris, even.
And like
I was like, she could still get it.
a sideways trucker hat, an oversized t-shirt, and
Literally.
capris, and she's still so hot. But who? And I
She needs all those pockets for the strap.
right, and I feel like they like. So I don't think this movie's intentionally gay, which I would like to think it is. I like, because that's clearly the effect it had.
I don't know. I think that's what makes it better, is that I don't think it was
right,
intentionally
because it's clearly
gay.
an accident. Because like
They just put her in a Black Flag t-shirt and they were like, all right.
they were just like,
There you go.
they're like, so she's like, we're gonna do like a not like most girls thing in the way that she is like a little bit rebellious and like maybe like as like a troublemaker. And to them, they were like, okay,
And that's just how, like, gay people
Right.
are, I guess.
but they're just like, oh, so she's like a skater, but like she's with the boys.
Yeah.
Like, she's not a skater girl, she's
Yeah.
like with the boys. And so I feel like that's where that came from, of like, she's in the loose cargo pants and she's kind of slouches and she doesn't give a fuck. And I'm like, oh, you're just making her a lesbian. Like, you're just queer coding her.
She's not like other girls, she's just gay. Oh my God. Yeah, no. Like, they really made her, like, the coolest lesbian.
Right.
For real. It's also, like, one of those things is, like, people that are, like, really good at, like, the thing they do is, like, really hot. So, like, especially it's, like, she's, like, the best gymnast, like, in the country kind of thing. It's like, Jesus Christ, yeah.
But it's like, you're gonna lead into this with her doing like sick BMX tricks. Like, I think, you know,
Like,
we're
right?
supposed to assume that like the gymnastics was a transferable skill to BMX biking, which I just like don't know if that's entirely
You could
true.
have made her, like, she could have been, like, a diver, you know what I mean?
or like a
could've got
break dancer.
But, yeah, like, Wei
Yeah.
Wei break dances in her spare time, you can tell. But, like, like, it's one of those things I'm like, it's just believable enough that I'll let it slide that she just got into BMX after that, but, like, still, I was like, come on now.
You're going to the X Games and the Olympics.
Yeah, really.
But also the only like explicitly gay thing in this movie is like there's a scene between Joanne and Poot, which I kind of like personally, where Joanne and Poot have kind of sparked up this romantic entanglement. They're kind of flirtationy, and she's like, "Oh, you're gonna take me to prom." Basically, she's like, "I'm really headstrong, and I'm like sort of taking control here." And she's like, "So you're taking me to prom?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, whatever." And they have this situation, and Frank is like, "Are you for serious right now? Like, she's such a bitch." And then he kind of like backs off, and then Poot is really like, she's like, "Really, you think I'm a bitch?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I think you're a bitch, but like I like it," which I like. I kind of
he is me. He's me.
which I kind of liked seeing that representation of like, yeah, like I don't know, like you can admit that someone is a bitch, but like still endearing and likable in that way because it's just true, like. I don't know.
Yeah,
or the whole
some people are assholes, but like
yeah, I don't know.
Still
I liked that scene, but then he was like, "Oh well, don't mind Frank, he's gay," and I didn't really know how to read this scene. If it was like an early 2000s gay joke of him being like, "Oh, Frank doesn't know. Frank's opinion about women doesn't matter. He's gay." Ha ha ha. Because it was really tough to gauge Frank's reaction to that because he kind of gives him like a, "Hey, what the fuck, bro?" And I didn't know if that was like, "Don't out me to people," or if that was like a "don't say shit that isn't true because you're like trying to impress this girl." You know what I mean? Like, how did you read that scene? Because I had a tough time with it.
I don't know. I don't think it. I think okay. I think it was probably just like a 2000s like joke like that. Early 2000s gay joke. But like, if I want to read it how I want to read it, it's that, like, he's like, "Don't out me to people."
Yeah, right.
Because Frank does have, like, a very, like, vicious reaction to, like, not to, Joanne in general. Which is, like, you're sitting there, you're like, does he like Pooh?
Right.
You know what I mean? But, like, and also, like, but we started this podcast with the quote, like, "This is my hetero life mate."
Yeah.
Frank or Poot
whatever
it was or something like that. I don't know. I think there's a bit of a gray area on Frank.
Yeah, I didn't know, and I also really liked that in the mall montage that they got in dresses and they were sort of like unapologetic about it. Like they let the girls do their makeup and because I think like for now
Frank had a full face.
Right, for today that's like really nothing groundbreaking, but I think for 2006 to like have men in dresses like, even if it was in a comedic light, being like, yeah, like, this is just fun and silly, and, like, I don't feel emasculated by this, I'm just, like, hanging out with my friends doing something that's, like, silly and fun, I think is really positive, because I think especially for 2006, or, like, honestly, anything, like, 2015 and earlier, we don't see that sort of, like, oh, like, I'm comfortable in my masculinity in a way that I can, like, be in a prom dress in front of the girl that I like, and, like, be... like, still, like, making jokes about it, and, like, haha, like, oh, you're gonna wear a suit, right? Like, I just like that whole scene, because I think that shows that this movie's directed and written by a woman that is, like, kind of like, oh, we're just gonna make it about, like, silly friendship moments instead of, like, I don't know.
Exactly.
I just like that. But, yeah, I didn't really know how to read into that, like, one scene between the two of them, because I'm like, oh, it is 2006, so I bet it is supposed to be, like a snide, gross comment, but, like...
a little gay joke,
yeah, but I wasn't sure, and they don't spend enough time on it to, like... really get into it, but...
Alright, so we're gonna get into our regularly scheduled programming, but I just want to slip one thing in, before we do, is fuck Tim Daggett. I don't know if you caught who he was, but he's, like, one of the announcers. He's, like, from the gymnastics world, and they, like, got him to, like, be the announcer in the competition or whatever and shit like that.
Oh, okay.
And he is the most annoying motherfucker ever. Like, I think it could just be me, or, like, any of the people that I knew that did gymnastics. Fuck Tim Daggett. All my homies hate Tim Daggett.
See, I knew that they had, like, sprinkled in some, like former Olympians or, like, legit gymnastics people, like, throughout this film, and I didn't really know who they were, and I didn't really care to, like, single it out, but that's really funny that you say that, because, like...
Like, I can't do it.
God.
He's, like, so annoying. He's literally so annoying.
Was he the blonde adult? Was he the blonde adult?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's who you're thinking of. Yeah, he's like the announcer.
Okay.
Like,
yeah,
fully.
Interesting.
But, oh my god. Yeah, he's got his own gym and everything like that, which is in Massachusetts, I believe. Or it's on the East Coast or something like that. So I remember, like, being at, like, Alyssa's competitions, and, like, they were like, oh yeah, from Daggett's, or whatever, and I was like, ugh, not you guys. But anyways, sorry, that was just my rant. I had to get it off my chest.
So I feel like to get into our regularly, scheduled questions, we'll start off with fuck, marry, kill, and I unfortunately do have to exclude the implication that all these girls are in like high school or like sub 18. So we gotta only go with the adults, which I feel like are Jeff Bridges and her two parents, right? Or do we want to?
There's also Joanne's
I was gonna
mom.
say, do we want to sub out the dad? Because the dad doesn't really make too much of an appearance. Do we want to do Haley's mom, Joanne's mom, and Jeff Bridges as our like three?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we're both gonna marry Jeff Bridges, right? I don't want to speak for you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill Haley's mom because she really fucked her over. Joanne's mom also sucks, but like,
I'll still fuck her. Yeah.
She can get it. Yeah, she's a hot milf.
Right.
But then, yeah, I'm definitely gonna marry Jeff Bridges.
There's this one scene right at the first competition where Jeff Bridges is really having a heart-to-heart with Haley, and he's like, basically, she's explaining, like, oh, I walked out at Worlds because I found out that my coach was, like, fucking my mom. And then he basically then follows up with, like, I gotta tell you something. I really believe in you, and I think you're great, and all this other shit, which then pays off. But I'm like, I really wanted him to be like, Haley, you know what? I also fucked your mom. Hey,
10 out of 10 would smash
like,
again.
Haley, I gotta come clean. Like, I did also bone your mom. She, like, who hasn't?
Haley, your mom gets around. I hate to break it to you.
But yeah.
I was like, DeFrank was not first.
It's the first that you happen to find out about. Your dad has been a cuck for years. But yeah, I don't.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't. I can't disagree with you. I guess I'm just gonna marry. Yeah, I'm gonna marry Jeff Bridges. Fuck Sugar Mata's mom because she's. Well, actually, maybe I'll fuck Haley's mom because clearly she has something worth writing home about, and then I'll kill Sugar Mata's mom because just let your daughter go to prom. Jesus Christ. And then
Sugar Mata's mom is the kind of like mom though that it's like I would be cleaning her pool kind of thing, and she'd come out in like the skimpiest.
She's gonna give me like a daiquiri, like what?
Exactly.
And I honestly don't know if we have anything unless you have any strong feelings about the rest of the film because there's the assistants there's just not a ton of.
That's it.
But I mean, we all do know. So Missy Peregrine was I think 23 when she filmed this, so she is of age. So we are not sexualizing a child. I swear she was a fully 23-year-old grown woman adult.
Yeah, she is older than we are now. So or same age, whatever. So
but hot.
Yeah. Don't come for me. I'm sorry. They just gave her a 6-pack. But food and drink. We were talking about this a little bit earlier, and I said exactly what you were saying.
Yeah, so I literally, as we hopped on this call, I was like, oh, I forgot to think about that. Let me just write down something quick. And literally, as my pen lifted from the paper, you said the words warm pretzel, like mall pretzel. And I was like, how the fuck did you read my mind? That's literally what I just wrote. So I just figured, sort of when you're out those competition-y type things that are at a stadium, what's the available stadium food? And also they do a mall scene. So, sort of mall food, stadium food. I feel like a warm...
Stadium food was very much like popcorn,
nachos,
shitty nachos that you see it in the movie sort of thing, and bag of chips, maybe a turkey sandwich kind of thing.
No, so the only thing I had was warm pretzel, but
I'd say a warm pretzel with the sweet glaze sauce you get from Annie's or something like that, and then you get a lemonade and you spike the hell out of it.
Spiked lemonade for sure.
Just simple cookie cutter easy.
I can't believe we're always so on the same page. So if y'all want us to fight more, disagree more, maybe we'll I don't know what we could talk about where we would fight, but maybe I'll try to start being more contrarian because I feel like we just always agree.
we're just yes, great idea. But while I had those ideas for food, I didn't have very much for a follow-up movie. I think I said Big Lebowski, and that was...
Which I do really like Big Lebowski for this because you got the Jeff Bridges connection, but also kind of a niche sport. I feel like bowling.
Exactly,
bowling. Kind of a niche sport in the way,
exactly.
I think gymnastics a little less niche, but still, not kind of not super mainstream, off the beaten path, kind of like, I don't know, the people who are into it are like really into it, and the people who are outside of it are kind of like, okay, who cares, kind of.
Yeah.
But no, I like that suggestion because mine are a little more on the nose. So the writer and director of this movie, she had formerly worked on the movie Bring It On, which is about cheerleading, which makes a ton of sense. So like obviously that's a very natural connection. She also wrote the movie Aquamarine, which was on my list when we were deciding what queer awakening movies we wanted to do. When I was making my list, and we ended up doing 2 weeks ago, we covered Atlantis, but I was throwing around it's about a mermaid, and she like becomes a human, and these other two girls have to like teach her how to like be social and like acclimate to human life, but just like she's like a fucking sexy mermaid, and like as a young girl it was very
she's the hottest mermaid
she's just like a
seen.
hot mermaid. I just remember being like, oh, like, do I want to be best friends with her, or So this director also wrote on the movie Aquamarine, which is also just very much like
another 2006 film. Hold on, I want to see this mermaid now because I don't think I've ever seen this movie.
It was just like it's like I don't think it's Disney, but I think it's like, you know, one of those adjacent, like definitely made for very young girls.
Oh, the blonde girl.
And she was just like in a bikini the whole time, and she just like was a hot mermaid, and I was like, okay, that's very cool. Very.
You're like, this is formative for me right now.
But so then to move on from there, I sort of had like movies about like a hobby that feels really integral to your personality. So Whip It, with Elliot Page, and the roller derby is very cool and also a little bit gay for sure. And Drumline with Nick Cannon.
Stop.
Because maybe that was just like because I was in band. I
love that movie.
Like because we were in band, we loved that movie. But like Nick Cannon and Drumline, and just like about like fully devoting yourself to like a certain thing and like having it be.
Which he definitely has the same attitude as Haley in this movie, where it's like, I'm better than everyone, like fuck you all sort of thing. So I like that.
And then my final and real suggestion is, like, I feel like I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love a, like, sports movie with a touch of a euthanasian twist. So, $1 Million Baby, because I feel like the relationship between Missy Peregrine and Jeff Bridges here is comparable.
$2 million.
Yeah, right. Like they're just like, it's like kind of a father-daughter situation. Like he's a parental figure to her, and she's like trying her best, but like then it's like a whole thing. So I think if you want to like Stick It is like PG-13. Stick It is for like when you're like 12, but like $1 Million Baby is for like when you're an adult. So like the like adult version of Stick It to me is $1 Million Baby. So.
See, I've definitely talked about it before, how I didn't even, like, watch the entire movie, but, like, I saw, like, the end of it, like, way too young, and now I feel like I can't watch $1 Million Baby. She won an Oscar for that role, didn't she?
I believe so.
Yeah. No, I do have to. I gotta bite the bullet sometime.
I mean,
and watch $1 Million
maybe not
Baby.
if it's gonna bring back some memories. It's a fucking sad movie.
Yeah, no, I know, but it was like I know it's like a great movie.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know, I enjoy it, but as far as like sports movie goes, for some reason I only like really lean into the boxing ones. Like I like Rocky and I like $1 Million Baby, but I like, other than that, it's like Mighty Ducks and like maybe that's it. So I don't really fuck with sports as a genre. But if we're gonna give this a grade out of 10, I do have a lot of.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
I was gonna say 6.5. Yeah, for sure. Like I have a lot of. I think 6 of those points are like how much fun I have when I'm watching it, and then the half.
6 of those points are for every one of Missy Peregrine's dads.
And like I can excuse the like overuse of visual gags and the like honestly poorly written like quippy dialogue, because it's just like a fun stupid movie, and it's unintentionally super gay, and I don't know, I have like a lot of nostalgia about it, and I think it's just fun. So definitely, and I love that it's like, I couldn't quite say cult classic status, like not nearly, but I just love the legion of queer women who've rallied behind this movie to be like, this was the fucking thing! Like, this was the one!
This is it, people! Yeah. No, I do love it. It's just all nostalgia for me. Like, I just had the best time watching this movie this week, so 7, hard 7.
Nice.
I'm sitting with the audience score. But
Love
yeah.
it. And so, to wrap things up, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you again. I think a couple of people wrote this in when we said, like, what are we're gonna do?
Yeah,
like, we're gonna do Queer Awakening Month. What are you gonna say? And next week, we also are going to take from popular demand. It will sort of.
We got a good
It's gonna
one
be
for
like
ya.
not on either of our personal like experience radar, but like the one movie that everyone's like, this movie made me buy, basically. So keep your eyes peeled for that. I'm really excited to cover it because it's basically like the cultural one that everyone's like, oh, like this is the one. So yeah,
this
so
movie.
super excited for that. Feel free to put in some guesses. Anyone who thinks they know what we're going to cover next week as being the bisexual awakening movie, let us know, because I'd love to see what you think it's going to be. But yeah, this is Pride Month. We're doing Queer Awakening movies, and as always, all of our information is in the description below as far as social media. Go follow our TikTok, our Instagram, Twitter, whatever, DM us at any of those places. And also, we have merch. We have Swamp Booty Shorts. And I've said it before, and I'll
Please.
say it again. Even if you don't purchase anything, which, like, I know a lot of you are, like, don't have jobs, which is, like, I also, you know, I resonate with that, so I don't expect you to buy our shit. But if you just click on it, even if you click on our shit, that still gives us, like, I don't know, internet cred. So go check out all of our stuff. And we love you and we appreciate you. And as always, please DM us with anything, suggestions, further month themes, movie suggestions, chocolate or vanilla suggestions, all of it. We love to hear from you. We've gotten some just such amazing, like literally we text each other every time we get a nice DM and we're like, oh my god, did you see it? Did you see it? So we always, appreciate so much of your lovely feedback. It makes us so happy to do this every week. And as always, happy Pride. And goodbye and good night.